Hello, and welcome to this first lecture of this new section on remote working leadership challenges in this course on excellence in leadership. So, the purpose of this module is to help you understand what are the challenges, leadership challenges, in working with a team remotely and how to overcome them. Remote working has been there for many, many years, but it has particularly caught on during the times of COVID, and since then it is becoming more of a norm. In this particular lecture, we'll talk about what are these leadership challenges? What are the challenges that leaders face in working with remote teams? And in the next, we will talk about how to overcome those challenges working in a remote team. So, what do you think are the leadership challenges in remote working, working with the remote team? That is now becoming more of a norm. Any thoughts on that? So there are many findings that you can see, we will share with you that have been taken up, many researches that have been taken up during last couple of years. And I'm going to share some of the findings here and then look at some of the solutions that are there for handling these leadership challenges. See, the biggest leadership challenge that has come up is that all the people, the team, as well as the leaders, don't have enough training on what are the best way to effectively lead the virtual teams and remote workers. And that is, in one study, half of the respondents said that. And also, another thing that has been reported by the respondents in this particular survey is the lack of experience and skill with the technology that you're going to use to effectively lead virtual teams remotely, Slack, Teams, Zoom, WebEx, etc., etc. Also, one of the things that have come up is the difficulty in motivating and engaging employees to stay productive. And the last of the big one is difficulty in managing projects, work tasks, processes, etc., and virtual team members and remote workers. So, how can you do that? And there are others. So, these are some of the challenges that were found in one of the studies. Then, another study that you see here on Employee Development Forum was in such a situation of remote working, how do you rethink the systems and implement new tools? Because in remote working from physical working, you need to rethink your systems and implement. So how do you go about doing that? Building relationship between team members. So maintaining a teamwork because team is going to be distributed across and the members will be working together in the same room or in the same building, and so that poses another challenge of building that relationship between the team members. How do you assess employee performance is another challenge in remote working because while in physical working you can personally see the work happening, in this it is not possible. Preventing burnout and overwhelm because in office working you have a fixed time to start and end. Now in remote working there is no such thing. One of the big things that you will keep seeing across is employees feeling of a social isolation. So how do you deal? And more the employees work independently in their own homes, not in a common place, further silos get built. So how do you avoid buildup of these silos and overcoming lack of face-to-face supervision, dealing with lack of access to information? So these were some of the leadership challenges that were reported in another study. Another study said basically developing trust towards the remote work, especially for leaders. How can you trust this? Is that your team is working? Implementing good and solid communication, because that's again a big challenge. How do you implement a better communication process, better communication that can address other challenges? Monitoring and tracking productivity of your team, promoting your company culture. How do you promote that? And keeping the security of your documents, information, etc. in place was reported as another set of challenges. In another study, and we saw some of them earlier, especially this study was with the people who were working as not the leaders themselves. So the team has this challenge of unplugging after work. They continue to work. So how do you unplug after work? In a physical space, you can get out of the office and then forget about the work that's happening there. Loneliness is another one because you are going to work independently in isolation. So that loneliness is another challenge that people face. Collaborating with team members, communicating. Distraction is at home is another challenge that people face while working remotely. being in different time zones, staying motivated, taking vacation time. So these were many challenges that were faced by people working in remote way. In another study, McKinsey identified in a systematic manner what are the different challenges. And in related to people, again, they said people of isolation was one thing, decreased team cohesion, as we saw earlier, pressure to balance personal and professional life, caring for homeschool children, caring for other members of the family, demoralization because you don't get daily direction, and the misunderstanding could arise from not that frequent and open communication. Use of technology in terms of limited access to co-creation and process management tools. Increased security risks. Unfamiliar tools that are used, that needs to be used in remote working were the challenges as we saw earlier. The structure in terms of work, amplification of lack of clarity. The lack of clarity in work used to happen in physical work also. That gets amplified. You don't in a virtual organization, difficulty in navigating. In physical, you can go and ask people. Here, you have no one to ask. So inefficiencies in decision making. Disturbed office-based flow and rhythms. So these were the structural challenges that were faced in McKinsey, identified by McKinsey. Unaligned priorities as a part of the process. Inefficient use of digital communication tools. Challenges in ownership of the content and progress of the work that is being done. So that were the kind of challenges that were seen. So what do we do next? Having looked at what are the challenges, we will look at what are the ways leaders can support. How can you support remote work? How can you overcome those challenges? And that's the topic of the next lecture. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on how to attain excellence in leadership. In this particular lecture there where we are talking about how can you work remotely, how can you manage the challenges in remote working in this course on excellence in leadership. I hope you continue to learn new things, continue to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture.